Hello everyone, March 26th. Welcome all the new subscribers. We just hit more than 3,000 subscribers. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Wonderful to be here and to share that amazing cosmic dimension we are looking into with each other. And today's video, magical twin flame activation. Yes, exactly, that's what it was. Earth was hit by this magnanimous solar event. Here you see it once more, a twin eruption. Actually, they were slightly out of sync, as it's called a sympathetic flare, and not really a twin flare, as it really explains here on the space weather page. And again, if you want to go back to these older dates, you can do it here. You see on the top of the page there is this archive function, and you can pick any day and it gives you the story of the day. So there's always a way for you to double check on what I show you and do deeper research. Very well encouraged naturally. And if you want to leave any comment or idea under the video, always very welcome. Thank you also for all your support. It's very appreciated, gives me motivation and also shows me that I'm on the right track and that my work is really well received. And it definitely is also necessary to make a living. The more I am not needing to think about other things, I can really focus on this work. I think it's very valuable because I do know where I am, what the information I'm passing on is not my own making. I'm really just bringing it forward, sharing it. It's not as most astrologers would do. Yes, I do that too at times, but much of my information is really, I'm just showing you what it says about certain degrees, what certain planets mean. It's very straightforward, not much of interpretation there really. Anyway, we had this very big event. There have only been 7 X-class flares so far since the beginning of this year, and we get to that actually in another video. I just want to tease you here quickly with that. Let me see where I put it. This is a nice site I found, the top 50 solar flares so far of the year 2024, and here you see them listed, all these X flares. And then the 7th one is not in this list because technically it was still 2023, 9:55 p.m. on New Year's Eve it was. So half on the planet, it was already the 1st of January, the other half was still in the last day of the year, all west of Eastern European time zone. Anyway, the long and short, 7 X-class flares we had so far. They all happened at very powerful astrological moments. The first on New Year's Day, the second one on February the 9th, which was exactly a few hours before the Chinese New Year started. You can't make these things up. The third one was on February the 16th. Just a week after that was when Venus, Mars and Pluto just had entered Aquarius. Actually, Venus was still a little bit in Capricorn, but they made a perfect configuration, the most exact there has been in that whole time frame when they all simultaneously moved into Aquarius. Naturally, Pluto was the first in January, already on January the 24th, and then Venus and Mars entered around the 16th, and then on the 22nd of February we had 3 X-class flares. That was the day when Venus and Mars had their exact conjunction, and you can't make that stuff up. It's just uncanny. The plot is thickening. That's what I wrote here. Humanity is about to outdo itself, and that's what the cosmos is showing us. The sun is giving the confirmations because the sun is linked in with solar consciousness, with collective mind, universal mind, where we all are plugged into. The more we are able to really come to this inner quietness, accessing the energy of silence. We are guided, we know exactly what to do, what to say, how to act, when to go, when to wait. All of that comes naturally in a harmonious flow with the whole, as we all are falling in synchronicity with each other. That's the two waves of Aquarius are really symbolizing that everything is aligning with one another without even touching. It's kind of that coherence field which is created. Coherence, you know, is the power of laser. Otherwise, if you take a normal light bulb of the same power, it has every photon is moving on a different path, in a different direction, and when you use laser, you bundle them, you bring them all into alignment with each other. That is exactly what we are seeing with these big solar events. They're indicating that this is exactly happening. The final of these 7 flares now, as you know, just happened on March the 23rd. It was, and this is the chart here, just quickly showing you the chart before we go any further. That was that twin flame at 1:33 in the morning. And it erupted from, let's look at the solar chart here, the heliocentric chart I should say. So you have to think Sun in the center here. Here is Earth. We are looking at the Sun from here, and the flare emerged from this degree, 18th degree of Virgo, which was some 20 degrees east. So this is when you go back to this picture here. Just one sec. Oh, there's many tabs open here. So this is the one, right? You see Earth here would be facing, so we're just about 15-20 degrees still towards the eastern limb of the Sun. So the flare was perfectly Juno directed, and this is big. Just keep this in mind, hold that thought for a moment. We are coming back to this. Juno being one of the asteroids, all about partnerships, mutual support, the understanding that we have to work together to achieve something big, like building a big cathedral. There's many stones to be put into right position, and the more we work in synchronicity with each other, we are managing to succeed, and that's exactly what is hinted at. Now, first of all, it was a 1.1. This in itself shows you there's a 1 in the 1. What does that say? It's really the twin flame. It's the yin-yang symbol which comes to mind. And then naturally, I mean, even just looking at this fabulous image here, I mean, one on the south side, one on the north side, pretty much lined up on the same longitude. Here you see them in this picture, 2, 3, 6, 15, 3, 6, 14. And it happened that actually 3, 6, 14, which was not really the one which astronomers were expecting something big to happen, was the first one to shoot up, and just fractions of a second later, the other one, hundreds of thousands of kilometers distant from this other one, but they are naturally intrinsically connected. Again, shows you the principle of quantum physics, of quantum entanglement, that naturally these are still two parts of the Sun, but yes, they are in connection without direct communication. They just know of each other. That's how it goes. So anyway, they went off simultaneously. A beautiful other sign of yin and yang, perfect balance, male, female, and the male on the north, the positive pole, is the initiator, and the south is the feminine part, which is in that sense responding. And I was excited already before. You see, this was on March 21st. It was just a couple days prior, and this was on the space weather page. I just took a screenshot of that. Again, you can go and find it yourself if you go to that archive section. They were mentioning that sunspot region 3615 isn't like most other sunspots. It looks like it has been stepped on and shattered. That immediately made me think of the asteroid belt, and exactly it's the asteroid Juno, which is the one which has been given the most intense jolt aside from Earth. Naturally, we were a little closer, but we were in the same direction. So anyway, earlier today, Philip Tosi of Nîmes, France, photographed the sunspot 40 plus cores. So these are all little tiny cores, really like little planetoids in a bigger field, in a bigger village community working together as a whole. Another of that kind of very, very clear signs where we are going here. It's all talking the same language if you understand its symbols naturally, but they align with each other. So only over 200,000 kilometers these cores are spread out. Only one or two of the sunspots' primary cores are close to Earth's size, so Earth's size would be about this. Just give you a little context of the size of the sun, of the enormity. Here is the sun, actually the Earth a little bit visible here naturally as a photo montage, obviously. The other cores are about the size of moons or continents, all scattered like dice over an area of 200,000 kilometers wide. Super unusual this has been to start with, and all these different spots have different polarities, so there's lots of pluses and minuses. There is actually a picture where they show that, I guess the day prior. I don't have that up here and running. You can again go to the archive. It's super interesting. The long and short, this sunspot has definitely produced an enormous event with that X1.1. Again, let me show you here once more. And then okay, let's keep going here. This is I just want to quickly show you where I do my research. So that this is the Lockheed Martin Solar whatever observatory, lmsal.com, and here they always give you the latest, also the list of the exact coordinates on where the flares erupt. You see here we have it. That's actually just the latest, so that it always changes. So you see, but what I wanted to really show you on this picture is this one here. That is the spike of the X1 flare at 1:33 in the morning on the it's hard to read here, on the 23rd of March, right? And then here you see the different frequencies of charged protons. So immediately that was triggering a high energy event also in the particle. No, actually this is radiation we are speaking here, which impacted Earth. So You see there's a wave ongoing of increased radiation, X-ray radiation, electromagnetic frequencies for almost 3 days. And then here you see this is the magnetic field jolting. This is when the wave of protons, which is much slower than light. Light goes from Sun to Earth in 8 minutes, as you know. That's the moment we see something happening. That is the moment we receive its energy. That was when the X-ray spark was recorded, the peak. Now it overall was a 5-hour event, but this is just the peak moment. We are naturally charting, like with an eclipse. We are taking the maximum eclipse, which leaves the deepest imprint. So here is when the magnetic field jolted. That was also when the solar wind arrived at 1437. They did give us the exact time on March the 24th. That was what did I calculate? Something like 46 hours later. So that's how long it took, and that wave, that combustion wave of solar plasma traveled at roughly about 1100 kilometers per second. I just calculated that. I was curious also to know how long it would take to reach out to Juno, which was about a day or so later. In that sense, Earth is, can I pull it out of my head, 149,000 kilometers away from the Sun, right? No, sorry, 149 millions of kilometers. Naturally, that is quite a bit different. The Moon is about 380,000 kilometers, whereas the Sun is about, as I said, 149 million, and Juno is 261 million kilometers. Yes, I say kilometers. So gives you about, if you would do the proportions, if Earth is about 1, as they call it, astronomical unit, that's kind of a measuring stick which is used in astronomy a lot. That's the distance from Sun to Earth, or from Earth to Sun, and Juno at the time is about 1.8 times that distance from the Sun in the asteroid belt. So naturally then it takes about 20 hours longer. But this is the solar wind. This shows the speed. This scale here was calibrated that this is 1000 here, up here. This is 500 now. Okay, it reloads. That happens with this page sometimes. Okay, where are we here? But you get the picture. Anyway, I don't want to stay too long here. This is just a scientific data in the background. But where I want to go next here is this is what it caused when the solar wind impacted. It brought up Aurora Australis, which was in the southern hemisphere. The timing was such that it was really more impacting the southern hemisphere, which again is interesting, that this is the feminine side which is related to the southern hemisphere also of Earth. The southern hemisphere of the sun, you remember, is that big sunspot 3685. Here you see it again, 3615 on the southern side. So there's this feminine energy is definitely very, very prominent and basic. And yes, it was the male side which has initiated the spark. It's beautiful, the symbology behind the whole thing. I got really super excited. Okay, this is another of the impacts it had, this event, which actually I just wanted to read you from this article here. I have it here. That was actually a really good piece. Again, I will share the link below in the description, livescience.com. Earth hit by radiation from rare double X-class solar flare triggering most powerful geomagnetic storms in 6 years. Yes, that's what it was. The last time we had such a massive geomagnetic storm, actually it was a G4 class, which is the second highest. G5 is really the maximum of what we so far experienced here or measured on Earth, since we are observing these events closely. So 4 out of 5, that was pretty major. In September 2017 we had the last big storm. That was actually 2 weeks after that first big American total solar eclipse. Very interesting again, the vicinity of these two kind of frame events. Many people have been referring to these eclipses 2017, 24, and then there was this third one last fall, which kind of was really the most enigmatic of them all, I would say, even though these two kind of corner eclipses play much a bigger role. That third one, and I did a coverage on that too, you can go back into the archive. Anyway, the long story short, 2 weeks after the 2017 great American solar eclipse, which cut the path of totality starting in California down to Florida, almost really diagonal over the land. And the same we will have in the other way, a diagonal we will have from Mexico, Mazatlan, actually starting entering the North American continent, the shadow of the sun in that sense, and then traveling over Mexico through Texas, through the east coast. So these are magnanimous events naturally, and this one is really has been dubbed by my astrologer friend, and totally agree, Rockets Cynthia Red Claire, I guess, sorry, she quoted it as the strongest astronomical event of the last 100 years. I agree, and particularly with all the backing of additional research I have done. Just think of that comet, which we will be hopefully able to see by bare eye. That has a big outburst of syro volcanic activity, which is possible. It's a comet of holding great potential for surprise. And I will definitely go back into the chart of this comet and give you the whole discovery story and everything in a separate video. I'm very excited doing that. So there's so many projects I still have. I hope I get them all accomplished in the next short while. Okay, anyway, let's come back to this super powerful event, which then, yes, what I really wanted to point out is, again, it was yes, two simultaneous explosions. Yes, that's really the key phrase here, known as sympathetic solar flares. Yes, we covered that also. Anyway, here you can read it once more. There's also quite interesting little video of what the sun can do, of big solar flares and such. Yeah, that's one of these beautiful pictures, the little kind of or I should say the really big visible signs of big solar flares. This is what the auroras are. Still, in the bigger picture, they are the decorations, they are the kind of the visual effect. There's much more than that, naturally, as we all know. So I will actually just tell you a few more things about the astrological chart of that moment. just a few. I don't want to overdo it here. This is not my main aim here, but I want to still give you a few things because it's so super special. So this is again the heliocentric chart. Earth is here, Juno is here, the Sun is here. The Sun has spewed off its 2 super flares in this direction, meaning pushing out a wave of X-ray supercharged electromagnetic frequencies pulsing and kind of charging up that whole part of the cosmos in that direction, and naturally whoever is there gets that load, that payload right in their face. Kind of, and I said it in a post, it's kind of a dense energy it creates. Whatever one is in or at will be amplified. So if you're in a good mood, you're feeling superb. If you're having a difficult day, then naturally it might really magnify that too. So it really amplifies wherever we are, pushes us to be more in the moment because it's rattling our energetic field, because we are so connected with the Earth's magnetic field. We are part of nature, so we are vibrating in that same frequency. So Juno is here, and Juno is an asteroid, as I said, about partnership, working together, support. It is the marital relationship, the wife, which means the mutual respect, and also the big love, which is usually at the very base of it, and then also the freedom one gives one another. It's all in there, and also naturally also it can be when you need to come to terms with your partner, there is struggle at times involved, all of that. Now what really intrigued me, and that's now where I want to end this recording, is the 4 degrees which are standing out, or 4 and 5. So naturally it's where the solar jolt was directed at, the 18th degree of Virgo. And then when we are going into the geocentric chart, you see there is a Moon-Juno conjunction. How about that? Right that moment, Moon less than half a degree applying. That is when the bond really is getting stronger and stronger. So naturally the moon representing our emotions, feelings, our kind of deeper connection to this reality on a more primal way. And with Juno there, so this is the 9th and the 10th degree we have here. So we had the 18th in the heliocentric. As you see, the 18th, anything greater than 1700 is in the 18th degree. I guess you get that. And then why is there this other degree important? Naturally because the black moon is here. The black moon, which means that's where we're asked to integrate the shadow. The shadow is always there present. Wherever the black moon is, that's where we need to integrate it. So let's look at these 4 degrees, all in the sign of Virgo. Virgo, the sign of the asteroid belt. Juno being naturally in her own sign, in the best placement pretty much in the whole zodiac. Yes, also very well placed in Libra, which is also the partnership sign, but Virgo is really the one which is given to the asteroid belt as such by many astrologers. I guess most of you guys would agree on that. So yes, everything points towards the importance of that little asteroid. So the moon and Juno are close together. Let me give you the meanings of these Sabian symbols. Again, this is from Dane Rudyhar, who has done that excellent work, taking one step further from where L.C. Wheeler and what's his name, the original author, you forgive me, I forget right now, but you get it. That is the source here of what I'm presenting, and I said it in the beginning, I'm not making anything up, I'm really just giving you facts, and these are facts. That's what's written in this book here. The ninth degree is originality, an expressionist painter at work. This is our approach. It's the urge to express one's individual sense of value regardless of tradition. That is what is magnified with this chart, particularly with this moon. It helps us to really step into our own individual expression, and I want to read you the full story because it's really worth it. Dane Rudyard, right, says here, the individual is seen reacting against cultural standards and stereotyped ways of interpreting perceptions. Is that ever true to our present time? This is a statement of uncompromising self-reliance, which many even imply a kind of defiance and a challenge to society. Naturally, we definitely are needing to do that. The mind is seeking to discover the character of the basic and true foundation of individual selfhood, the tone or logos of individual being. How beautiful. That is the inert quality of that section in the zodiac. Again, this is Western tropical astrology based on the 4 cardinal axes, as Earth's position is anchored in the universe, which means the solstice points and the equinox points, which are defining the Western tropical zodiac. This is another topic altogether, that there is 2 different things of the same name which are very different. The zodiacal signs we in Western astrology use are merely Earth's auric field extended into space. That's how I see it, versus the constellations, which are stars, groupings of stars up in the sky, which literally are having no direct connection with each other, those 2 things. They just go by the same name. It's literally apples and oranges. And just to say one more thing about these constellations, they are not naturally given. These were just constructs conceived by our early ancestors who tried to orient themselves in the starry night. Think of seafarers who go over whole oceans. They need something to orient themselves. That is what the stars are good for. They give you a sense of direction. So you start charting them naturally, putting them into groups which make visual sense. But if you, for example, look at the Great Dipper, some of the stars of that dominant constellation of the Northern Hemisphere are as close as 40 light years, others are as far away as 640 light years. So you see, if you would change direction, travel in space a little bit, that whole connection of these stars would fall apart, and their appearance would be totally different, disconnected in many ways. So this is my personal 2 cents on that whole conflict, Western versus Eastern astrology. I'm not debating that Vedic astrology is not valid in its own way. Every system has its total value. Every little bit in reality, in nature, can give us tons of insights and informations. So that's not my point, but I just want to say this is the Western astrology based on the seasonal changes, and in that context, if we divide the zodiac in 12 or in 360, then this is the frequency of that 9th degree of Virgo, and then the 10th degree where Juno is in, and Juno is going retrograde, so they actually move toward each other. That's even more beautiful. It's not just the moon is approaching, Juno is retreating, and in a way bigger way seen for the present few months, Juno is in a retreating position, place, means of looking back, integrating what still has to be coming fully together, going back over the books. That's kind of the retrograde. In a nutshell, for every planet this is true. When we go inward, we kind of try to resolve what we have before seen, experienced, and now we are in the integration phase to then again be able to move forward into new land. Anyway, the 10th degree of Virgo, where Juno is self-transcending activity of the mind. That is the big word Rudyard gives for this degree. And the symbol which was perceived by Elsie Wheeler, by that psychic, for that degree, and again these were randomly picked. It's really fascinating. You get the whole story of the evolution of this 360 degree oracle in this little book. It's online available. I will also give you the link below if you're interested. It's really one of the jewels, really, in that sense, if you're an astrologer and interested in cosmology. Two heads looking out and beyond the shadow. That is the oracle of the 10th degree of Virgo, where the moon is. Growth of true understanding, born out of the transcendence of duality, even while immersed in the world of duality. Pretty beautiful. I said it, magical twin flame activation. It's exactly what's happening. Humanity is about to outdo itself. The plot is thickening. It's all making sense. It's all hinting in the same direction. Now, there's another really magical intersection Dane Rudyard has devised. He divides science into two segments, and then each of these two segments into another 3 or 5 degrees each. So the first half of Virgo is characterization. That's the big theme of the first half of Virgo. Characterization meaning the recognition of what is. We have to put names on things. We have to really starting to see what things are standing for, what they're representing. It's a time of recognition. And then the second half of Virgo is education. That is when you pull consequences, when you go one level further. Now, interesting is that in the heliocentric, we are in this second stage of education with this asteroid Juno, and that 18th degree is inner guidance. How can it be? And the image given in the Sabian symbols is an Ouija or Ouija board, however you pronounce that. That is that, and I will read it to you. It's really worth it. An Ouija board, the ability to contact deeper recesses of the unconscious psyche and sensitiveness to psychic intimations and omens. It's the openness to see the flight of birds and whatnot, to see the little signs which are everywhere, the synchronicities, which really give us the confirmation that something big is on, like the 7 X-class flares happening all on distinct, powerful, important turning points astrologically, astronomically, and seasonally. The Ouija board is to be considered here a modern device similar to many ancient instruments used for divination and prophecy. Certain states of threshold consciousness are stimulated by such a use, and what the experience produces may vary greatly in quality and in origin. The release of unconscious material has lost the explosive force pictorialized in the preceding symbol. And the preceding symbol actually was a volcanic eruption. So this is an enormously charged 5-degree phase we are seeing here, starting with the 16th degree of Virgo, which actually is in the actional phase. Again, the first 5 degrees of 15 are always actional. It means it's really setting something new in motion. So the 17th degree, as I say, was a volcanic eruption. Now we are in that wake of this big kind of release of natural free energies. The release of unconscious material has lost the explosive force pictorialized in the preceding symbol. Yet at this stage there is still no conscious and willful control over what reaches the ego consciousness. So it's kind of a chaotic zone we're in. There's lots of insights, omens, but overall there's still a kind of a sense of confusion. And the next now degree is important because it bridges this 18th to the 20th, where the lunar shadow is the black moon, which is literally where the moon is farthest away from Earth. So it's an astronomical point. Naturally, when the moon kind of is at the farthest place, there is this intrinsic fear. It might get lost, it might disappear, go away forever further. So that's why this point is so charged. Also, I like to compare it to the deepest trench in the ocean, where all the unprocessed and pushed away emotions and issues are piling up, and eventually we are directed to that area to look at it. Interesting is that the American nation, actually, which I think I would call it the New World, July 4th, 1776, that's where the black moon was at that moment, on that day, at 1928 to be exact. So we're just about actually there. I guess it's today or tomorrow. It is very exact. So they have a black moon return, which in itself is super interesting. I will make a special additional video about that, because this is not just about the United States. This is much bigger, as I have pointed out repeatedly. This base chart of July the 4th, 1776, the Declaration of Independence, really laid the foundation for the new world, for the new era. And yes, we are still coming out of childhood, just about 40 years or such. Is nothing in a big whatever you call that civilization cycle. We have entered that new cycle, and naturally they are overlapping. At the same time we are ending the old one. That's how I see it. But this is an important, super important year for the American nation. Naturally, I mean, it's obvious with the 3 solar eclipses within the last 7 years, this being the last leg in this race, expected to get pretty darn intense and intriguing and fascinating all at once. And naturally, again, depending on where each person stands, each individual stands, they will have a very different personal experience, perception of what is going on. Yes, still many people are able to shift the lane to a more positive trajectory personally in their own lives. This is one of the images Jacqueline Hobbs lately gave. Yes, we are kind of moving on in a big highway with many lanes, and we still can change lanes as we go. The doors have not closed yet. Very important to keep this in mind. So, did I finish with this degree? Let me see. Yes, I wanted to read you one more thing about it. Yes, now I did finish with that. But I wanted to mention okay, let's jump to the 20th degree. That is where that shadow point is in the American nation. And as we speak in these present days, it's about a 9-day period where the black moon is. Every 9 days changes to the next degree. Every 9 months to the next sign, and every 9 years it comes a full circle. So it's another really interesting numerological thing there too, the 999 thing. So the 20th degree, totalization of purpose and effort. The need to cooperate. The need of cooperative effort in reaching any new world of experience. This is literally what it says in the Sabian symbol for that degree. The image, the oracle, is a caravan of cars headed to the west coast. The west coast, keep this in mind. The need of cooperative effort in reaching any new world of experience. Even the word new world is in here. It is difficult to know from the original formulation of the clairvoyant's vision the type of caravan of cars that was visualized. What seems to be clearly implied is a process in which a group of persons are journeying together, thus linking their consciousness and energies, the car symbol, in order to safely reach the goal of destiny, the West. The West, it's always, I mean, I come from Europe. We were so much longing to be in the West, in the New World, and that was one of the big incentives to come here to start with. This is the leading edge of evolution. I guess it has been really that way since 1776. Here there is no longer any sense of competition, but an ordered and structured endeavor. Beautiful. So that is really the highest of its expressions. And it is the last stage of this five-fold sequence of actional, get it done energy. Again, between the 16th and the 20th, that is actional energy. And I forgot mentioning between the 6th and the 10th degree, where the moon and Juno are here in geocentric perspective. These are emotional, cultural degrees. So it's kind of shows that on the energetic higher plane, which is truly symbolized by the heliocentric chart, it's always the energetic background. That's what we breathe, what we nourish on. That is solar energy pure. Every electron, every photon which comes from the sun, which is received within 8 minutes, carries that coding of what the sun is at in every moment. So that's why this energy is so basic, so important. It's the heliocentric frequency. It's the pre-manifest, you could say, which then shows itself in form on the world, and how we see it from our way, our own truth. And again, this is very, very important to know that truth is definitely always subjective. There's no such thing as an objective truth, because it's always depending on where you are, and you're always at the center of your own universe. That is how you see it, how it appears to you, and we have to honor each other's perceptions. We have to honor that understanding that yes, if we are spatially in two different locations, we will see things differently. It can't be otherwise. Anyway, the middle degree is the one which is there, the 19th degree, the one we just skipped now from the 18th to the 20th. This is the 18th, as you see, and here in the geocentric, the shadow is in the 20th degree, where we have to really come to terms with reality. The one in between is a swimming race. I really love that. It's a stimulation that comes from a group effort toward a spiritual goal. Yes, it is that we're on this journey, coming from this place of still being confused, having been given lots of extra energy, but the Ouija boards, the divination tools have given us insight, but now we're really at the task is to integrate all these insights and visions and bring them into a very clear directed coherence. And the swimming race is a beautiful image for that. When man has become an expert swimmer, okay, the stimulation that comes from a group effort toward a spiritual goal, I said that. When man has become an expert swimmer, he has symbolically learned how to operate in a new element. This element, water, represents the ever-flowing stream of psychic energy, and in a sense, at least, the astral world. In a still deeper sense, man is now able, mystically speaking, to cross the river and reach the other shore, or to swim back toward the source. Whether or not the symbol should suggest the competitive spirit at work is questionable. At the biological level, a host of spermatozoa are swimming toward the ovum, and each presses on toward the goal, the act of impregnation. A seeker after spiritual rebirth actually does not strive alone. It is man who, acting through the most advanced individuals of a race, is taking a step toward rebirth or toward a new mutation. The personal ego-centered ambition to succeed and to be first is indeed a sign of expectable spiritual failure. Very deep insight here by Mr. Dane Rudyard into this psychological complexity of competition versus working together, even though we are at best motivating one another. I guess that's what it is. I mean, think of a relay race. I think that is the better way of really seeing how we work together. And here, as the final commentary to this degree, and I want to really conclude with this, as this is bringing it all together. At this fourth stage, we are confronted with a problem of interpretation, yes, of competition versus really working together. It is not ambition. Is not ambition a subtle form of deviation under the pressure of ancient karma? He questions here. And the competitive spirit of so valued by our civilization, a sign of failure to understand the deeper reality of existence? What is needed is emulation, not competition. Anyway, thank you so much for being here and listening to all these exclusive reports I'm giving you, and I hope to see you soon again in another one. Love you all. Bye bye.